Hello everyone, and welcome to 716 Sports Blizzard talk show. Today I have Jonathan, Joe Miller, and Jerry Ostrowski. Um, but first I'm gonna start with Jonathan. Um,
Well, very nice 28-7 victory over the 31-7 victory over the the Denver Broncos. It got a little scary after a Hail Mary pass by Bo Nix early, but then Buffalo just dominated the rest of the game. Took care of business. Denver has some good talents. I think they have a bright future, but Buffalo's overall the better team. The running game was good. James Cook got a touchdown. Officiating was questionable, but at the end of the day, the Bills got to win. They got a tough matchup next week against the Baltimore Ravens. My friend Chris says they'll beat them.
yes, I mean, I think next week Baltimore is going to be a test for the Bills. And we don't know what time that game is yet, but I think it's going to be exciting to see Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen go at it. What do you think, Jonathan?
It should be a night game, whether it be Saturday or Sunday. But yes, I mean, gonna be a battle. The two MVP candidates. So Curtis, do you think who needs to be the MVP, Allen or Lamar?
I think Josh Allen deserves the MVP. The reason why I said Josh Allen deserves the MVP, he broke all kind of records. Look at that game against San Francisco. He had a touchdown, rushing touchdown, and a receiving touchdown. What other quarterback in the National Football League would have those many stats like that?
Yeah, but they could give it to Lamar. So
that right there won him the MVP. That right there.
So, what was your opinion on the Mac Hollins catch?
So it was 4th and 1. I thought they were going to have Josh. It was just a choice. My one friend said either kick the field goal or run up the middle. But Allen went back to pass. I'm like, oh, this could be bad. This could switch the momentum. But he threw the ball at Hollins, and then he caught it. I'm like, okay, never mind. I was wrong. But then I was a little worried they're going to overturn it. But then I was a little quick. Did not like the call by McDermott, but I guess at the end of the day, I ate crow and the Bill got the touchdown. Curtis, do you think McDermott? I know that. What would you have done? Do you think it would have done a touch push or a field goal?
I think that was the right play because you're down 13-7 and you want to bury it. You want to put the nail in the coffin. So.
Oh, they were up 13-7, but yeah, you're right. You're right. The Bills will win 13-7. Out. Other than the opening touchdown, other than the Hail Mary touchdown, Denver's not all day. But I think Curtis was right. I was a little skeptical, but I thought that was the right call. I mean, the thing is, a lot of Bills fans have been highly critical about Sean McDermott ever since 13 seconds. But he's been making fans eat crow, and he needs to be a Coach of the Year candidate.
Yeah, I agree. And like I think Joe Brady was being creative on some plays.
I mean, there was some questionable plays about Joe Brady, and like I know that they had a touchdown took away by a holding call, but before that, there was just 2 straight runs. But for the most part, I cannot complain about Joe Brady. The Bills are 21-6 ever since they replaced Ken Dorsey with Joe Brady. So this was supposed to be a reset, retool, restart year.
Another play I didn't like, which I got to give Denver credit, was the fake punt.
The fake punt. Now, Smiley needs to go. Smiley needs to be fired. That happens way too often. 2 weeks in a row, third time this season. Like, dude, pay attention. Don't get burned by those fake punts.
Yeah, I didn't know there was a special teams coordinator, so yeah, thanks for filling me in on that. Okay, well, Jonathan, do you have any last questions for me before I bring on Joe Miller and Jerry Ostrowski?
Well, I'll ask you. Ask Chris. First, I'll ask Chris. Who thinks will win the Bills Ravens game?
I think the Bills will win it. The Bills will win that Ravens game. The Bills will win 38-24 Buffalo.
What about you, Robbie? Who do you think's gonna win, Buffalo or Baltimore?
I'm gonna go Buffalo, and I'm gonna say it's gonna be close. I'm gonna go 31-28. 31-28 Bills.
I think it's gonna be close. A shootout. I think it's gonna be 38-35 Buffalo.
Yeah, one question.
Well, my friend Daniel has a question.
I thought about it. I got one question. Out of the whole NFL, with the Bills, how much money do you think they started with?
What start with? What do you mean by that? Like
How much? You have to start with some kind of money to get.
salary cap?
Yeah. You know what I mean? But like from then to now, probably way before I was born, but from then to now, how much you think?
They're worth like over $1 billion. But yeah. So anyhow, Robbie. You can we can bring Joe Mill on the show.
Yeah, I
All
want to
right.
see.
Well, I will bring them on, and I will talk
Let
to
them
you
go.
soon, Jonathan.
All right, sounds good. All right.
What is going on?
What's up?
Yo,
What's
yo.
up?
Good to see you.
You too.
How you doing, Robbie?
Doing good. How do you guys feel about that win?
Jerry?
Well, I feel really good about this win. We just talked about it on our post-game show. It was a matchup of strengths. You had a top 5 scoring offense taking on a top 5 scoring defense, and everything the Bills do really, really well. The Broncos matched up equally well on defense, and for us to go out and establish the running game like we did and score 31 points, very, very good opening wild card game for the Bills. I thought it went really, really well considering that the Broncos were a very formidable opponent as far as matching his strengths, and I was very happy with the performance today.
Yeah, same. Anytime the Buffalo Bills come out and do what we all know they can do, and they are the team that we all know that they are, it's a good day. And that's exactly what happened today. Even with the early stuff in the first half when they were kind of basically just trying to feel out their opponent, you know, the Bills at the end of the day put 31 points on the board, which is pretty much more often than not what the Buffalo Bills do. They score a lot of points.
How do you think our defense will match up with the Ravens next week?
Well, I mean, obviously we do have a bit of history to go back to, and that's what happened earlier this year. Sunday night, early in the season when we played in Baltimore, obviously that did not go well for the Bills, but I think that it needs to be talked about that at that point in time, we were minus Matt Milano, minus Christian Benford, and also minus Taron Johnson. And when you're playing a team like the Ravens that do get into some really big sets, they get into power sets, and the way we play the 4-2-5, it's imperative that we have those linebackers, those guys that we really rely on in the game, not just like a Milano, but probably the key piece of all of it is Taron Johnson, considering he's that hybrid and has to play both down in the box and also in pass coverage. So, Bill's not at full strength. I did remember and did see a lot of good things from that game. I thought that Josh Allen and the way that team fought in the third to try to get into it before the was it a fumble or interception on the side on the trick play? Remember they tried to run the throwback to Josh. I think they had a momentum going. They tried to run a trick play. It was a throwback, and I think it was a fumble. But anyway, that kind of shut down the momentum, and then the Ravens have obviously won that game. But
yeah.
I think the Bills come into this game healthy. as healthy can be on defense after a couple of scary situations today with Taron Johnson and also Cam Lewis. But they come in healthy. They come in prepared. And then also they're not going to Baltimore. It's going to be in Buffalo, which they've got that crowd noise and everything else. So I think it's going to be a different type of game than it was earlier in the season.
Yeah, I can't disagree with anything Jerry just said. Like, he summarized it pretty perfectly, especially the crowd part, right? So being in Buffalo versus being in Baltimore. So as much as the Bills have been a pretty good team historically on the road, playing in that Ravens stadium, when a good team shows up in that stadium, the crowd is a nuisance, just like for us, right? So it's going to be wild in Buffalo on Sunday.
Yeah, it'll be a cool experience to hear the crowd in Buffalo
Mm-hmm.
on the Ravens when they come out on offense.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think, like, the Houston Kansas City game, do you think Houston can win that game against them?
I think that Houston can win it. It's in my opinion improbable. That Houston team is not the team that played the Buffalo Bills early in the season. Was it week 3? Is that when it was, Jerry? Week 3,
Right,
week 4,
yeah.
week 3,
Week 4, I believe.
Yeah. Regardless of the fact that they're without Stephon Diggs and Tank Dell, there's just something. Whether it's teams have figured out, they have diagnosed how to stop them, how to do things against them to keep them from kind of finding their groove. The Kansas City Chiefs are brimming at the right time. They're putting it all together exactly when you want to be. But aside from that, we have seen the Chiefs play down to the level of every opponent they've had this year. So it's not outside the realm of possibility. I would just find it improbable, Jerry.
I think the biggest thing for Houston is they still are playing really good defense. So as long as you play good defense, I believe you have a chance. Now, can they figure out a way to score points? Obviously, and Joe just stressed upon it, the amount of talent that they've lost in the receiving core is making it terribly hard for them in the passing game, because not only, even when they were at full strength, CJ Stroud still had an issue with interceptions, and those interceptions showed up again this past week, trying to force plays, trying to make plays, and you just can't do that in the NFL because the DBs are too good. So if somehow, some way, they can figure out a way to get the running game going with Joe Mixon, Stroud can make a few plays in the passing game, and they limit those turnovers where they're not giving the Chiefs offense more possessions than they already need. The way that defense is playing, they have a shot. Now, that being said, it's awful tough to win games in Kansas City in January. It just really is. And it's going to be a tall task for that Texans team.
Especially a Southern team going up there and playing in the cold. Southern domed team, but yeah.
Yes.
Do you think Mahomes is going to play good against their defense, or do you think the defense will sack him?
I think Mahomes has gotten into a level of quarterback play where we talk, and Joe touched on it, and it's true. I mean, they've been awful lucky through the season as far as pulling out 17-14 wins, 21-17 tight wins, kicking field goals last play of the game, those types of things. Mahomes has almost gotten to that level of quarterback, though, to where he needs – it's kind of like the Michael Jordan documentary, and where any little thing that was said, he used it as a form of motivation because he was so good, he was so great, that he needed to find ways to motivate himself. And I truly believe the great ones do that. Mahomes, it's playoff time now. And Mahomes is a playoff quarterback. As good as he is in the regular season, he finds a way to will himself and his team to wins in the postseason. And that's just kind of the way I see this thing now, is you've got to, you can't expect Patrick Mahomes to give you a football game. You've got to take it from him. Mm-hmm. And, I think that motivation of the playoffs with him, it's now all of a sudden he's like, he's not bored anymore. It's playoff time. It's time to ramp it up. So I'd expect him to play very, very well.
what's the status of Ray Davis?
I don't know that. I mean, obviously, there's no medical person that has necessarily, I don't think, responded yet. It's always we'll see how he feels tomorrow. My understanding is he's okay and has been tweeting after the game, so I would say that he at least has his faculties about him. Yes.
Yeah, I think obviously, I mean, the big hurdle now is, does he have enough time between now and the next game to pass concussion protocol? What protocol is these players before the season will take a baseline test on a computer. They have some standard stuff they do, but most of it's done on computer. Some of it's even on iPhone, and it's reaction time stuff and things like that, recognition things. They'll do a baseline test, and then when they have a potential head injury, they'll do this testing again, and there's an algorithm, and if the lag is a certain percentage greater than the baseline test, then they don't pass and they stay in concussion protocols. So what that situation is, we probably won't know till later in the week, but I would imagine obviously he won't get a ton of practice time. So this is a chance maybe for Frank Gore Jr. to come in and be a guy that actually does a little bit. If he is brought up, he'll definitely have to play on special teams. I don't know how many touches he'll get in the offensive backfield, but it'll be something that we won't know about until probably Thursday, I would think.
Mm-hmm.
Bill Simpson special season.
I like it, Cassandra.
No, it's a great point. I think that the biggest thing for the Bills is and I know it's hard, and it's hard because it's not just your opponent, it's also nationally. There's a noise out there that the Bills players are hearing every week, and I would think that the message that McDermott is sending weekly right now, especially in the playoffs, is to drown out that noise. Because this is a capable team. They have enough talent to win it. Do they need a few more pieces? Probably. I mean, I think if they had a few more pieces, it would be even more realistic. But it's one of those things where you got to drown out that outside noise and find a way to steel yourself, to find comfort in the group. And when it's your turn to perform, go out there and play well.
Thoughts on Ty Johnson?
I just said on our post game show that I'm not aware and can never understand how certain guys get to their third team without ever having like real playing time. And Ty Johnson's one of those guys. I believe he was cut by the Jets and the Lions. He was drafted by the Lions, cut by them, cut by the Jets before coming to Buffalo. And the kid he's got great vision. He's stout and strong as a running back. He's fast. He's got great hands. Josh Allen calls him the best third down running back in the game. I'm not ready to put him up there necessarily with Derrick Henry, but the kid can play. He's a very, very good football player.
One thing that Joe and I, we do have friends within the content creation community. Obviously, a guy like yourself, and then also Joe Marino. We respect Joe quite a bit, and Joe finds really good obscure tidbits weekly that he drops and talks about. And anytime he does, if I use it, I give him credit, and I give him credit for this one. I believe he put some statistics up this past week that showed that if they weren't the best, they were one of the best running back receiver groups in the league, and that being Ray Davis, Cook, and Ty Johnson. And in a game like we just played against the Broncos, where they did such a good job of shutting off tight ends and pressure rates and things like that, we felt that, it was obvious that at some point the running backs were going to have to get involved in the passing game. And, Ty Johnson's one of those guys. I mean, he does a tremendous job catching the ball. Remember earlier this year, I think it was 2 or 3 games ago, he had a 100+ yard game receiving. So to see him make that play in the back of the end zone was not a shock to me at all.
Still would have liked to see him got home a little more. So Cassandra Turner says it's no time to silence the critics. Staying focused. Our defense showed up today. That front four showed out. They were energetic and they had a good motor all game, and they were relentless, I would say, in their pursuit, in the sense of they didn't quit coming. But I would like to see them get home more than twice. Jerry?
No, I agree. And, I do think, and Romo kind of said it a little bit, and while obviously he's not there yet, stylistically speaking, Bo Nix does play a lot or a similar style of football to Josh Allen. And we all know Josh Allen's escapability in the pocket, and Bo Nix showed escapability today. As a matter of fact, he might have been their leading rusher today. So to get him, while he doesn't have that extra gear, I don't think, like a Josh has or a Lamar Jackson that can leave a defense and go score, he definitely has the ability to make big plays with his feet. So while we only had the 2 sacks, and I would have liked to have seen a few more, and obviously that Vaughn had that really good rush on the spin move that he couldn't finish the sack. That's the difference between 25-year-old Vaughn and 35-year-old Vaughn. That's an age thing more than anything. You look at the pressure rates today, and if you're in the analytics and you really think that they are the be-all, end-all, and they tell the full story about things, we did pressure Nix more than any other team did this season at over 51%. So they did do a good job of getting him off his spot. But the Bills, like Joe, I do believe they need to finish a few more of those.
Yeah, if they do, if Lamar Jackson, who will take them, he'll take that invitation, runs on some of the runs that Bo Nix got free on, it's going to be a difficult opportunity in time for the Buffalo Bills to catch that man. So
exactly.
How do you think the Bills will fare against Baltimore next week?
Go ahead, Joe. You take that one first.
I don't know. I'm scared to death. Do the Buffalo Bills do they have the horses to stay with this team and beat them? The Buffalo Bills are a very, very good football team. And on top of just the coaching, which they're a very, very well coached football team, both from a head coach standpoint, offensively, defensively. Now, clearly, there may be some decisions made around the special teams coordinator this offseason, as special teams gaffes seem to continue to happen. And, the last thing you need is to lose a football game due to something like that. But they're well coached. They've got great players. There's a looseness and a freedom that it seems like they're playing with, which Josh Allen talked about. This team can play with anybody. They beat the Lions, right? I mean, they beat the 49ers. They can play with anybody. They beat the Chiefs. So it's just a matter of, can they play mistake-free football, and can they get to whatever that number is, 35, 40, before the Ravens do?
I think that Joe's dead on. I look at this Ravens team and I think about the things they do well, and I think about the things the Bills don't do well. And obviously those things don't mesh up the way I'd love them to. This is a power football team that's big and physical. They're able to run the ball with Derrick Henry. I think that their tight end passing game is really, really good. I think that they create some mismatches with that. But, when you look at this game, and it's the difference between a team that is in a soft rebuild and a team that is built ready to contend for a championship. And that's kind of how I see this. And the Bills, if they had a few more pieces, you'd maybe be a little bit more relaxed going into this game. But do they have the ability to beat the Ravens? Yes, they do. But you're going to have a really, really good game out of Josh Allen. You're going to have a really good game by your offensive line. You're going to have a defense where you can't expect to stop the Ravens, but you've got to get enough stops. Is that 3 or 4 a half, whatever it is, get enough stops to give your offense and Josh Allen an extra possession or 2 or 3. And then you've got to rely on what you relied on all year, which is big plays in the turnover game, turning the Ravens over, getting interceptions, getting fumbles. And while Joe talked about a possible change at coordinator, these types of games, special teams are huge. You can't have a wide open guy on a fake punt next week. You can't fumble the ball on a punt return. You can't miss field goals. Special teams has to be 100%. They've got to be dead on. And if you can do those things, there's no reason why the Bills shouldn't have shouldn't leave OP heading out to Kansas City next week with that W.
Yep.
Yeah.
Enough said.
Many have tried, many have failed.
Exactly.
Let me ask a question, Robbie. I'm going to ask a question to Joe, because I used to talk about this all the time. When we first started the
Is it about Matt Collins?
No,
Is it
it's
about
not. No, it's not. You'll like this question, Joe. When we started the incarnation of Overreaction Buffalo, and we're doing these shows, I brought up the point about Lamar and his feet and running, and Joe said, "It's not Lamar I'm worried about. We always stop the quarterback run. It's Derrick Henry." We're actually talking about Tennessee, I believe. I'm not worried about the quarterback running the ball. It's we stopped the quarterback. It's Derrick Henry, or we stopped Derrick Henry. I can't remember what it was, but you used to talk about it all the time, and as of late, it seems to have changed a little bit.
Well, I mean, together they're just. It's not even a pick your poison situation. I mean, you've got it's a very bizarre and unique combination when you're talking about Lamar Jackson, who is a dangerous and efficient elite passing quarterback, and he's a dangerous elite running quarterback, and then you'd plop Derrick Henry behind him. And the Bills, I just put it in the comment section, the Bills generally don't have trouble holding Derrick Henry to about 2 yards per carry, except for that one run. Every single game, he has that one run that's somewhere between 50 and 80 yards for a touchdown, and all of his other 20 runs are for 1 yard or 2 yards or behind the line of scrimmage. So this game, I'm not saying they can't be beat, and I'm not saying that McDermott and Bobby Babbitt aren't smart enough to find ways to beat them. But they pose a very unique, and then Mark Andrews, right, who is oversized as a tight end, and as much as we haven't struggled as much this year with tight ends, Taron Johnson, who is elite, is not a huge dude. And then you got, they're going to get Flowers back this weekend. They got Rashad Bateman. They're stacked, bro. And their defense is good. It's literally going to be a boat race. Who can get to 40 or 45 before the clock runs out, right?
Yeah, exactly. And I think also too, and you made another good comment in the comment section. You look at the Bills and they run that 4-2-5. And why did we go to the 4-2-5? Why are we just so dedicated with it? Because that 4-2-5 is a defense built to stop teams like the Chiefs. The 4-2-5 is prevalent in college football, where we've gone to this, air raid, spread game, RPO game, and we're just throwing it all over the place. So it would only make sense to take a linebacker out, put a hybrid type DB in, be able to play some run set stuff with the same players, but also pass stuff. That works against 98% of the teams in the league. There's those few dinosaurs that still are power type teams, and the Ravens are one of those teams. But does that mean that we can't get it done? No, not at all. I mean, that we can beat the Ravens at home, but your pitch count and everything needs to be a little more perfect than normal.
Yeah.
Do you think one of their wide receivers, Zay, is gonna play next week?
No idea.
No idea, but I hope not.
Exactly.
I hope he's not playing next week.
Yeah.
That would be really good if he's not. Obviously, he had the knee injury, I think, last week, and
in the game he didn't need to be playing in. Yep.
Right, and it was the thing about his injury. I will say this: it was non-contact. And while they're saying it wasn't an ACL, non-contact stuff, knee-wise, is usually bad. It could be a plethora of things. It can be, you can have bone bruise, you can have articular cartilage disruption, which is the cartilage on the surface of the bone. You can have pretty extreme meniscus tears, all that type of stuff. So usually when it comes to the injuries, non-contact stuff is usually much worse than the stuff you see in a pile where guys get rolled up on and things like that.
Yep.
Do you guys have a score prediction?
I'll let you do that, Joe.
You got to.
I don't do score predictions real well.
That doesn't mean you can't give one. I think this is going to be a barn burner. It's going to come down to it's going to be a single possession game. 38-35, 42-40, 42-39. I don't even know if you can get to 39, but you know what I'm saying? Like it's going to be 45-42. It's going to be a dog fight straight to the end, in my opinion, which normally when I say that I'm wrong, and it ends up being like a 12-9 game. But I think it's going to be a high scoring game, one possession, and it's going to go right down to the wire.
I think it's going to be a 1 point game. And if I was going to guess, I'd be like Joe and say it's going to be like 38-37. Yeah. Something like that. It's going to be a 1 point game. I think it's
1 point, not one possession. One point.
Not one possession, 1 point game. This is going to be something where it comes down to the wire and you know, it's going to go right in line with the line that's already been released.
Yeah.
Bills are favored by 1.5 points.
Yeah. Yep.
Normally home teams are favored by 3.5. This game is 1.5. People are like, how's that possible? Buffalo's at home. That's why it's possible. But I say it's going to be a 1 point game.
Any final thoughts before I end the show?
No, other than just appreciate you having us on. Yeah, it's always fun joining you, Robbie, and it's been a good season. The season's not over yet, so enjoy this next football game. As John Fina said, try to. No, it was you that was talking about loving people, Jerry, and being nice. But
yep.
let's
ignore the noise. Don't get on social media this week. Don't get in any unnecessary fights or banter with Ravens fans. Love one another. Call your mom and dad. Tell them you love them. Be kind to your sisters and brothers.
Is the
wash the dog. Give them a treat. Do something kind. You know, do a random act of kindness or two this week for people.
Open the word.
You should open the word and learn about Jesus, and
that's right.
And all those things that you can do, but don't fall for the unnecessary banter from Ravens fans. Let them do their thing.
Yeah, and where can my listeners find you guys at?
So you can find me on Twitter at Joe Miller Wired, and you can find all of our content on YouTube or any social media platform. Just search Overreaction Buff, BUF. You can also, or Buffalo. So it's podcast, YouTube, whatever. And then any social media platform. So Twitter, TikTok, I don't even know what else. Instagram, Overreaction Buff. And we also have a website, overreactionbuffalo.com. Jerry?
Yep. You can find me at Ostrowski_Big O on Twitter, or X as they call it nowadays. I'm on Instagram as well. On all the Overreaction stuff, you can catch us as well. So we're out there and would love to interact. And Robbie, thanks for having us, man. We had a great time. We appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And we'll see you on Sunday for the game.
Yep.
Go Bills.
Go Bills.
Much love. Go Bills.